Hello. This voice I speak with these days, this English voice, with its rounded vowels and consonants in more or less the right place, this is not the voice of my childhood. I picked it up in college, along with the unabridged Clarissa and a taste for port. Or maybe this fact is only what it seems to be, a case of bald social climbing. But at the time, I genuinely thought this was the voice of lettered people, and that if I didn't have the voice of lettered people, I would never truly be lettered. A braver person perhaps would have stood firm, teaching her peers a useful lesson by example. Not all lettered people need be of the same class or speak identically. I went the other way, partly out of cowardice and a constitutional eagerness to please, but also because I didn't quite see it as a straight swap of this voice for that. My own childhood had been the story of this and that combined, of a synthesis of disparate things. It never occurred to me that I was leaving Willesden for Cambridge. I thought I was adding Cambridge to Willesden, this new way of talking to that old way, adding a new kind of knowledge to a different kind I already had. And for a while, that's how it was. During the holidays, I spoke with my old voice, and the old voice seemed to feel and speak things I couldn't express in college, and vice versa. I felt a sort of wonder at the flexibility of the thing. It's like being alive twice. But flexibility is something that requires work if it's to be maintained. Recently, my double voice has deserted me for a single one, reflecting the smaller world into which my work has led me. Willesden was a big, colourful, working-class sea. Cambridge was a smaller, posher pond, and almost univocal. The literary world is a kind of puddle. This voice I picked up along the way is no longer an exotic garment I put on like a college gown whenever I choose. Now it's my only voice, whether I want it or not. I regret it. I should have kept both voices alive in my mouth. They were both a part of me. But how the culture warns against it. As George Bernard Shaw delicately put it in his preface to the play Pygmalion, many thousands of British men and women have sloughed off their native dialects and acquired a new tongue. Few, though, will admit it. Voice adaptation is still the original British sin. Monitoring and exposing such citizens is a national pastime as popular as sex scandals and libel cases. If you lean toward the Atlantic with your high-rising terminals, then you're a sellout. If you pronounce borrowed European words in their original style, even if you try saying something as innocent as Parmigiano, you're a fraud. If you go metaphorically speaking down the British class scale, you've gone from Cockney to Mockney and can expect a public tarring and feathering. To go the other way is to perform an unforgivable act of class betrayal. Voices are meant to be unchanging and singular. There's no quicker way to insult an expat Scotsman in London than to tell him he's lost his accent. We feel that our voices are who we are, and that to have more than one or to use different versions of a voice on different occasions represents at best a Janus-faced duplicity and at worst the loss of our very souls. Whoever changes their voice takes on in Britain a queerly tragic dimension. They have betrayed that puzzling dictum, "To thine own self be true," so often quoted approvingly, as if it represented the wisdom of Shakespeare rather than the hot air of Polonius. "What's to become of me? What's to become of me?" wails Eliza Doolittle, realizing her middling dilemma. With a voice too posh for the flower girls, and yet too redolent of the gutter for the ladies in Mrs. Higgins' drawing room. But Eliza, patron saint of the tragically double-voiced, is worthy of closer inspection. The first thing to note is that both Eliza and Pygmalion are entirely didactic, as Shaw meant them to be. "I delight," he wrote, "in throwing Pygmalion at the heads of the wiseacres who repeat the parrot cry that art should never be didactic. It goes to prove my contention that art should never be anything else." He was determined to tell the unambiguous tale of a girl who changes her voice and loses herself. And so she arrives like this. "Don't you be so saucy, you ain't heard what I come for yet? Did you tell him I come in a taxi? Ooh, we are proud. He ain't above giving lessons, not him, I heard him say so. Well, I ain't come here to ask for any compliment. If my money's not good enough, I'll go elsewhere. Now, you know, don't you? I come to have lessons, I am, and to pay for them too, make no mistake. I want to be a lady in a flower shop instead of selling at the corner of Tottenham Court Road. But they won't take me unless I can talk more genteel. And she leaves like this. I can't. I could have done it once, but now I can't go back to it. Last night when I was wandering about, a girl spoke to me, and I tried to get back into the old way with her, but it was no use. You told me, you know, that when a child is brought to a foreign country, it picks up the language in a few weeks and forgets its own. Well, I am a child in your country. I've forgotten my own language and can speak nothing but yours. By the end of his experiment, Professor Higgins has made his Eliza an awkward in-between thing. Neither flower girl nor lady, with one voice lost and another gained, at the steep price of everything she was and everything she knows. Almost as an afterthought, he sends Eliza's father, Alfred Doolittle, to his doom too, securing a 3,000-a-year living for the man on the condition that Doolittle lecture for the Wannafeller Moral Reform World League up to 6 times a year. This burden brings the philosophical dustman into the close, unwanted embrace of what he distastefully calls middle-class morality. By the time the curtain goes down, both Doolittles find themselves stuck in the middle, which is, to Shaw, a comi-tragic place to be, with the emphasis on the tragic. What are they fit for? What will become of them? How persistent this horror of the middling spot is, this dread of the interim place. It extends through the spectre of the tragic mulatto, or the plight of the transsexual, or to our present anxiety, disguised as genteel concern, for the contemporary immigrant, tragically split, we're sure, between worlds, ideas, cultures, voices, whatever will become of them. Somebody's got to give. One voice must be sacrificed for the other. What is double must be made singular. But this, the apparent didactic moral of Eliza's story, is undercut by the fact of the play itself, which is an orchestra of many voices, simultaneously and perfectly rendered, with no shade of colour or tone sacrificed. Higgins's Harley Street high-handedness is the equal of Mrs. Pierce's lower middle-class gentility, and Pickering's kind-hearted aristocratic imprecision is every bit as convincing as Alfred Doolittle's Nietzschean Cockney by way of Wales. Shaw had a wonderful ear, able to reproduce almost as many quirks of the English language as Shakespeare. Shaw was in possession of a gift he wouldn't or couldn't give Eliza. He spoke in tongues. It gives me a strange sensation to turn from Shaw's melancholy Pygmalion to another infinitely more hopeful version, written by the new President of the United States of America. Of course, his ear isn't half bad either. In Dreams from My Father, the new President displays an enviable facility for dialogue and puts it to good use, animating a cast every bit as various as the one James Baldwin, an obvious influence, conjured for his own many-voice novel, Another Country. Obama can do young Jewish male, black old lady from the South Side, white woman from Kansas, Kenyan elders, white Harvard nerds, black Columbia nerds, activist women, churchmen, security guards, bank tellers, even a British man called Mr. Wilkerson, who's on a starry night on safari says credibly British things like, I believe that's the Milky Way. This new president doesn't just speak for his people, he can speak them. It's a disorienting talent in a president, we're so unused to it. I have to pinch myself to remember who wrote the following well-observed scene, seemingly plucked from a comic novel. Man, I'm not going to any more of these bullshit Hunahoo parties. Yeah, that's what you said the last time. I mean it this time. These girls are A1 USDA certified racists. All of them, white girls, Asian girls. Shoot, the Asian girls are worse than the whites. Think we got a disease or something. Maybe they're looking at that big butt of yours, man. I thought you were in training. Get your hands out of my fries. You ain't my bitch, nigga. Buy your own damn fries. What was I talking about? Just because a girl don't go out with you doesn't make her a racist. Well, this is the voice of Obama at 17, as remembered by Obama. He's still recognizably Obama. He already seeks to unpack and complicate apparently obvious things. Just because a girl don't go out with you doesn't make her a racist. He's already gently cynical about the impassioned dogma of other people. Yeah, that's what you said the last time. And he has a sense of humor. Maybe they're looking at that big butt of yours. Only the voice is different. He has made almost as large a leap as Eliza Doolittle. The conclusions Obama draws from his own Pygmalion experience, however, are subtler than Shaw's. The tale he tells is not the old tragedy of gaining a new, false voice at the expense of a new one. The tale he tells is all about addition. His is the story of a genuinely many-voiced man. If it has a moral, it is that each man must be true to himself, plural. For Obama, having more than one voice in your ear is not a burden, or not solely a burden, it's also a gift. And the gift is of an interesting kind, not well served by that dull publishing house title, Dreams from My Father, Story of Race and Inheritance, with its suggestion of a simple linear inheritance of paternal dreams and aspirations passed down to a son and fulfilled. Dreams from My Father would have been a fine title for John McCain's book, Faith of My Fathers, which concerns exactly this kind of linear masculine inheritance, in his case from soldier to soldier. For Obama's book, though, it's wrong, lopsided. He corrects its misperception early on in the first chapter, while discussing the failure of his parents' relationship, characterized by their only son as the end of a dream. Even as that spell was broken, he writes, and the worlds that they thought they'd left behind reclaimed each of them, I occupied the place where their dreams had been. To occupy a dream, to exist in a dream space, conjured by both father and mother, is surely a quite different thing from simply inheriting a dream. It's more interesting. What did Pauline Kael call Cary Grant? The man from Dream City. When Bristolian Archibald Leach became suave Cary Grant, transformation happened in his voice, which he subjected to a strange, indefinable manipulation, resulting in that heavenly sui generis accent, neither West Country nor posh, American nor English. It came from nowhere, he came from nowhere. Grant seemed the product of a collective dream, dreamed up by moviegoers in hard times, as it sometimes feels voters have dreamed up Obama in hard times. Both men have a strange, reflective quality typical of the self-created man. We see in them whatever we want to see. Everyone wants to be Cary Grant, said Cary Grant. Even I want to be Cary Grant. It's not hard to imagine Obama having that same thought backstage at Grant Park, hearing his own name chanted by the hopeful multitude. Everyone wants to be Barack Obama. Even I want to be Barack Obama. But I haven't described Dream City, I'll try to. It's a place of many voices, where the unified, singular self is an illusion. Naturally, Obama was born there. So was I. When your personal multiplicity is printed on your face, in an almost too obviously thematic manner, in your DNA, in your hair, and in the neither this nor that beige of your skin, well, anyone can see you come from Dream City. In Dream City, everything is doubled, everything is various. You have no choice but to cross borders and speak in tongues. That's how you get from your mother to your father, from talking to one set of folks who think you're not black enough, to another who's feeling you insufficiently white. It's the kind of town where the wise man says I cautiously, because I feels like too straight and singular a phoneme to represent the true multiplicity of his experience. Instead, citizens of Dream City prefer to use the collective pronoun we. Throughout his campaign, Obama was careful always to say we. He was noticeably wary of I. By speaking so, he wasn't simply avoiding a singularity he didn't feel, he was also drawing us in with him. He had the audacity to suggest that even if you can't see it stamped on their faces, most people come from Dream City too. Most of us have complicated backstories, messy histories, multiple narratives. It was a higher-wise strategy for Obama, this invocation of our collective human messiness. His enemies latched onto its imprecision, emphasizing the exotic, un-American nature of Dream City, this ill-defined place where you could be from Hawaii and Kenya, Kansas and Indonesia all at the same time, where you could jive talk like a street hustler and a rape like a senator. What kind of crazy place is that? But they seem to have underestimated how many people come from Dream City, how many Americans in their daily lives conjure contrasting voices and seek a synthesis between disparate things. Turns out, Dream City wasn't so strange to them.